Hello everybody, my name is Andy. Welcome back to my channel. I usually do sex education videos on this channel every single week, which is a really good reason to stick around. But this week I wanted to concentrate on something that was in the news, and indeed a massive global event. So I'm sure you've heard of Black Friday. It's the day after Thanksgiving in the United States, where traditionally loads and loads of discounts happen in the stores, massive discounts, and people go and obviously get their discounted goods. And it's one of the most busy and biggest discounting and retail days of the year. A bit like what it was like here in the UK the day after Christmas. In the United States, the gift giving tends to happen on Thanksgiving rather than at Christmas. It does not happen at Christmas, but I digress a bit, because it isn't the biggest retail day of the year globally. That is on the 11th of November, and it originates in China. It's called Singles Day, and it was invented by a massive online retailer in China called Alibaba. So just like Amazon here in the UK and in the West, there is a massive online retailer. They made up this day which celebrates people who are single. It is a massive retail event, but obviously they hold it on the 11th of November, which is 1111. You can see where they got the idea there. And it hasn't caught on here in the UK for relatively obvious reasons when you think what we celebrate, or not celebrate, what we commemorate on the 11th of November. But as an event, it's grown bigger than that website or even retailing. It's become a national celebration of being single. And that's important, because if you think about China's demographics, what they've gone through over the last few decades, they've had a thing called a single child policy. What that basically means, thanks to the patriarchy, that there is a huge oversupply of men. If we discount people who are gay and bisexual, and you at least have a parity of people usually who are straight. And then you take into account that during this one-child policy, which doesn't currently exist, but that's another video, this one-child policy meant that those that found out they were having a girl, they terminated that pregnancy, or they otherwise made sure that they didn't stick around, so that they had a boy, which means there are about twice as many men who are currently 20 or 30 years old than there are women in China. That, of course, is a major problem for continued population, but it's also a major problem for straight people who want a relationship. Well, it's not a problem for the straight women that want a relationship, but it's a problem for the straight men who want a relationship. Basically, the upshot of this is that there are a lot of men who don't have a partner in China. So all this means that it's become a very popular event in China, and indeed a national celebration of people who haven't got a partner, who are single. And it's odd, because here in the UK, we don't really have that kind of celebration at all. There is definitely a culture of, if you are single past 30, maybe 40, you've kind of been left on the shelf, especially for women, it has to be said. But also the case for men, especially men over the age of 40. In general, we're finding partners and getting married later in life, for those that want to get married, of course. And people obviously have careers, maybe don't have as much time. There is this kind of London singleton thing, which is well known. People just don't have enough time to have a relationship, or so they say. What they probably don't have enough time for is the dating, is all the backwards and forwards. They do have a time for a relationship, I'm sure of it, but they don't have the patience to be going on 2 or 3 dates a week. I get that, I understand that, but outside the London bubble, there's definitely a stigma. If you haven't got a partner, by your mid-30s. So given this massive celebration of being single in China and East Asia, and the general stigma everywhere else in the world about not having a partner, wading into this last week was Emma Watson. She had an interview and she talked about being single, but she was really content about being single. And I think that's great. She called it being self-partnered. And what that basically means is that you look after yourself, that you provide, that you organise things for yourself, and that you don't make it feel like you require somebody else in your life. I'm not very good at that. I wouldn't say I was self-partnered, although I am single at the moment. Now, there was a lot of criticism of Emma Watson for this, and I'm not really sure why. I mean, partly because it's Emma Watson and people, for some reason, want to criticise her for being, I don't know, a millennial, for being a feminist, for saying actually really quite sensible and straightforward things. But just because you say something which the rest of society doesn't really understand, doesn't mean it's not valid. See, my experience of being single is ups and downs. And I think this is probably the experience of a lot of people. I feel that I would like a partner, but I've been single for a reasonable amount of time now. And when I say single, by the way, I mean I've been on dates, but I haven't really had a long-term relationship recently, at least. I feel that I don't want to be like that forever, but right now I can deal with it. I can definitely do that for the rest of my life if I need to. I can look after myself. I can be self-partnered, even if it's not my first choice. And I reckon that's the case for a lot of people. Yeah, so I've recently bought a flat, as if you'd been watching this channel for a little while. And it's a 1-bedroom flat, which doesn't mean anything on its own, but the point is I'm not buying 2 or 3 bedroom flats and planning for a family immediately. I've set myself up here for a very good amount of time by buying a flat, and that means that I can support myself. I can live on my own for as long as I require to. I just don't want that to be the case. And I admire anybody who thinks that they could live the rest of their life and they want that to be the case. Unlike Emma Watson, I'm not content that that is the case. I am restless that that is the case. On the other hand, I'm not doing all that much about it right now. Okay, I've just bought the flat, so I've been busy. I think that's fair to say. On the other hand, I probably should be doing a bit more about it. But why do I feel like that? Is it because of society? Does society tell me that I'm actually a failure because I haven't been in a relationship and doesn't look like I'm going to be in a relationship tomorrow? I'm a millennial, but I'm on the older end of being a millennial. So does that mean that very soon society's going to say to me, well, aren't you going to sort yourself out? Shouldn't you have a girlfriend now? Shouldn't you have a partner which you want to stay the rest of your life with? And I'm like, yeah, but I haven't yet. Not through want to try. So maybe we should have a singles day here, not related to a e-commerce website, not on November the 11th, because that's taken. But perhaps we should celebrate being single in the UK. It isn't, and it shouldn't be, a disaster. It isn't necessarily what you want, but it's certainly absolutely fine. So long as you have interactions with other people, should you want them, as long as you have friends, as long as you have family, as long as you have people that you want to talk to and that want to talk to you, then there shouldn't really be any problem. We're not going to die out as a species right now if a significant number of the population is single. Although, I have to say, it's not actually great for the economy long term, but maybe it is good for the planet long term. We'll see. But maybe that's the answer. Maybe we need to change society into thinking that being single isn't as terrible as they think. What do you think about this? Do you think being single is fine, not something to be put down? Do you think saying you're self-partnered is good and a healthy way to describe being single? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I make videos on sex education every single week, so that's a really good reason to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss a thing. And I will therefore see you next time. Bye-bye.